Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Mobile Marketing Association Webinar Series 2020. Thank you all for being here with us today. Hope everyone's staying well and keeping safe wherever you are. Today's topic is about the coronavirus impact on business sentiment across Asia Pacific, primarily Singapore, Indonesia, India, and Vietnam, and will be presented by our speaker, Rajiv Lamba, founder and CEO, NeuroSensum and SurveySensum. He will share data and insights for business leaders across various industries today. My name is Shanti Tulani, and I'm the country manager of MMA Indonesia. I will be your moderator and host for today, and I hope I'm able to deliver a consistent and comfortable speed of talking, as I'm more likely to gallop otherwise. Before we begin, allow me to share with you a little bit about Mobile Marketing Association. We are a not-for-profit global association headquartered out of New York. Globally, we have over 800 plus members across 14 regional offices in 21 countries, spaced out across the US, Latin America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. We are a neutral industry body that welcomes marketers, agencies, media, publishers, telcos, technology providers, device manufacturers, basically every part of the advertising and marketing ecosystem. So who are we, why are we here, and what is our purpose? We truly believe that mobile is the next big thing. In fact, in this COVID situation, it is the biggest thing, and it's the quickest way for chief marketers and brands to reach out to their consumers. So we primarily reach out to the chief marketers and help them through this process. We're also here to help them, push, enhance, accelerate the transformation and innovation of marketing through mobile as a device. Our initiatives stand under these four main important pillars, as you can see on your screen. And beneath these pillars are the activities that we work on, so we're talking about these webinars that we organize, forums, the Smarties Awards, workshops, training sessions, surveys, reports, research, white papers, and numerous case studies that we have compiled onto our website. So yeah, on our website, we also have a lot of these other initiatives that are part of MMA. Some of them are work around, measurement, attribution, cognition, ad fraud, brand safety, and so many of these other initiatives that are being done globally, but we try to localize them for our individual markets. Our MMA theme is Shape the Future, and we're doing our best to help get there along with the experts from the industry to bring about this change for us all in this digital era, and we're trying to stay ahead of the curve too. And in that, we're also trying to do our best for the industry, during these tough times where COVID-19 has literally hit us all globally, and each one of us are doing our best by taking individual and collective responsibility in making a difference within this space. So as MMA, as an association, we have also opened up a platform with all relevant information on COVID in this support hub that you can see. You can access this on the link provided below. And our hashtag is We Are In It Together, because we truly are globally. And let's hope that we get over these tough times soon. Just to give you a slight glimpse of our upcoming webinars, here they are, as you can see them on your screen. We actually started our MMA webinar series early in April 2020, and we will be conducting these all through May. You can also scan the barcode on the right-hand side of your screen or visit the website mentioned below. These, even these presentations that we will be, having all across May will be included in these as well. Next Friday is a must-attend panel discussion with our APAC Managing Director, Rohit Dadwal, and some of the top industry experts, so stay tuned for that. We are also looking at other initiatives outside of these webinar series planned all across June, July, and August. So do stay in touch with us, and we will keep you in the loop for all our new ideas and concepts. These are also some of the additional areas that we at MMA have been working on, and we collaborate with our current members and partners to work on different areas, build some subcommittees as well on these programs. So we will be happy to have you join us in MMA and collaborate with us on new ideas and topics as well. So for today's webinar, there'll be a window open for you on the right-hand side of your screen to pour in your questions. So please do so and add in your name, your title, the company that you represent, and the country that you're based in, and we will address these questions towards the end of the webinar and the Q&A session. But we'll also try and address one or two questions as we go along when we have our interactive poll sessions or something like that. So yes, do pour in your questions. So with this, let me pass on the control to Rajiv Lamba, and he can take the session ahead with all of you. Over to you, Rajiv, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Shanti. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Sure, thank you. So today, the objective of today's particular session is to understand, I think a lot of us have heard a lot about what consumers are doing, how are they behaving. So we just thought, okay, it's time to possibly to show how businesses are getting impacted. So for in these 4 countries, India, Indonesia, Singapore, and Vietnam, we went to business enterprises with a small survey just to understand, has COVID impacted them? What is the kind of impact that they are having or the business is having? When they think that the impact will get over? And how are they changing their business strategy with the entire COVID impact? So overall, we got around 433 responses. I believe some of the people who are attending today's webinar possibly might have also responded to that survey. So we got responses across 4 countries, across various categories, which you can see here on the list: FMCG, IT, tourism, transport, media advertising, financials, e-commerce, and so on and so forth. And we went to large and mid-sized enterprises. So today, the entire results that you're going to see today is a reflection of how these enterprises, they got impacted because of COVID, and how are they responding, and how is their business strategy being changing. So this is the agenda of the flow today. So we'll look at the entire impact. Is it impacting their revenue? Is digital really the new normal? How the brands are responding? So let's go to the first section, is what is the COVID impact on business? So we asked all the business houses, the 433 companies that I mentioned across these 4 countries. We wanted to understand, has COVID impacted their day-to-day activities? Around 66% of the companies, they mentioned that they have been really impacted severely with the day-to-day activities because of COVID. And you can see that is pretty much consistent across the board. Across most of the countries, the impact has been severe. India is claiming that it's relatively less in comparison to other countries, but more or less a lot of these companies have been impacted because of COVID. And I know, personally, in Indonesia, when I've interacted with our own clients, their revenues are even down to the extent at least 20-25% is what's the drop, that kind of drop they are seeing in Q1. And Q2, a lot of these companies are expecting that drop might be to the extent of 30-40%. So Q2 is going to be is a hard hitting quarter, something which has not happened for many of us across the years. And Q3 also, whatever we see and whatever we have been discussing, so Q2 will be very, very much impacted. Q3, there will be an impact, possibly not to the level of Q1 or Q2, but Q3 will also be impacted. So when we look at this data by different categories, what we see that the impact on retail, travel and tourism is relatively more in comparison to other sectors. So, which I think all of us possibly know that retail has been really impacted. Travel and tourism has been very, very highly impacted. So this doesn't look into any way the revenue. This is just the percentage of companies saying that they got impacted with their day-to-day activities. So when we look at the economic forecast, so we just thought, okay, let's look at some of the other data sources which are there, and just to understand, is it really impacting the entire GDP? So this is the data of 2020 Asia GDP from 2019 to 2020 estimate. So there's a forecast that it will drop to a level of 2.2. My personal belief is that it might go lower than 2.2. So the GDP growth might not be even 2.2 is what I personally feel, but this is what the entire ADP forecast has been, Asian Development Bank. And when we look at the GDP forecast by countries, the countries which are very much dependent on tourism, as you can see that they're really forecasting a big drop to their GDP. Countries like Maldives, countries like Cambodia, Thailand are expecting that their GDP might be negative in this particular year. Singapore, Vietnam also to some extent is going to see a huge drop in the GDP growth. The same goes for India as well as Indonesia and other countries within the region. So definitely, I think I believe it's tough times right now. And I think I personally believe Q2 and Q3 will be even tougher. Let's look at how the Purchasing Managers Index. A lot of you possibly might know this term called PMI. How's it performing month on month? We can see there's a big drop in PMI index in Indonesia. The same goes for India, Singapore, as well as Vietnam. So the PMI has been dropping, and it's kind of expected that with this entire condition where a lot of manufacturing has been closed down and a lot of countries are in lockdown, this was kind of expected that it will happen. Let's look at the stock market. Yes, it did had a big drop. It had rebound to some extent. And when you look at the data on the right side, you can see the entire currencies have really taken a big drop, especially Indonesia, which dropped approximately 15% in this particular quarter. So a lot of currencies have gone down. So overall situation is tough. I think that's what even the business houses are mentioning in the survey that we conducted. And we asked a question that how long this particular situation will continue, when the things are going to get back to pre-COVID condition, in how many months. So on the average, our clients, which are enterprises, large and mid-sized enterprises, they're expecting the situation to continue for the next 6 months. And this survey has just been conducted in April or end of April. So we can easily estimate that this situation will continue till October. So things to go back to pre-COVID condition, it might take 5 to 6 months, is what all the business enterprises or companies or organizations are anticipating. Let's look at the data by country. Indonesia looks to be a bit more optimistic. They are expecting things to become better in 5 months. Getting back to the revenue and the business, similar to pre-COVID conditions, around Jan or Feb as a month, as a benchmark. Singapore is expecting around 7 months for things to become normal. So let's look at the same data by different categories. FMCG and e-commerce, they feel that the situation will become normal in the next 5 months. Overall, as an economy, of course, with this entire COVID situation, as we have also seen the results before when we did the B2C or consumer sentiment survey, FMCG as well as e-commerce are not that much impacted. But if you look at other categories like transportation, that particular category feels that it might take 8 months for things to become normal. Manufacturing feels that it might take around 7 months. So FMCG and e-commerce are relatively more optimistic, of course, because the business is not as much impacted in comparison to other categories. So this is what our business enterprises or the organization of the company has told us in the survey. Just a very quick poll to all of you. In your own organizations, how much you think is a drop in revenue that you're expecting in Q2? Or you possibly might not be even expecting that revenue drop. So are you expecting a revenue drop in your quarter two? And if yes, then what is the kind of percentage that you are expecting it to drop? So this Q2 is vis-a-vis last year quarter two. So Q2 versus 2019 quarter two versus 2020 quarter two. So can we open the poll?
Yeah, the poll is already on, and yeah, the attendees can click on the options given below. We'll close the poll in about maybe 30 seconds. Okay, I shall close the poll now. And share the results. Can you see that on your screen, Rajiv?
No, I can't. If you can possibly just mention it.
Yeah, so we're on the third option, which is 31 to 50%. We have the highest, which is 38%, and 10 to 30%, which is 29%. So yeah, 10 to 30 and 31 to 50 are what the audience feels is, the expectation on the revenue drop for Q2 2020.
Sure, thanks. So I think we can easily estimate that the drop will be somewhere around 30% as an average across the industries.
Yeah.
Sure, so thanks. I think all of us, of course, are hoping that in Q3 the situation should become better. But looking at the results and looking at the situation, it seems it might extend till September, October. So we possibly, all of us need to kind of brace for the impact for the next 6 months. Let's look at, of course, now what we've understood that businesses are getting impacted, and that's no brainer. So let's see, are these business enterprises, are these companies, organizations, are they cutting their budgets? Or are they doing any cost control mechanism? And we asked this particular question that, are there any budget cuts or postponement in the organizations across these 433 enterprises? So these are the percentage companies which are mentioning if they have taken any cut, what kind of cuts that they have taken. So more than 60% they're mentioning that they are not recruiting anymore, which is possibly a hiring freeze. Out of home has taken a big cut in terms of the budgets, expectedly because people are stuck at home, they're not going as much out. ATL is also going down, which is possibly a bit surprise to me because people are spending a lot of time at home. But in spite of that, companies are trying to cost control. They're trying to save money by cutting the ATL budget. Sales promotion budgets have also gone down, which I think again is a bit of surprise here, given that possibly consumerism will get impacted, and the things will possibly people, as we saw in the previous surveys that we shared, consumers are becoming more price conscious. So I think there's going to be a time where promotional budget will be back on track. That's what my assumption is. So 1 in 4 have deferred the market research projects. So the top cuts which have been taken are normally hiring, out of home, and ATL, which comprises of TV and radio and print. So when we look at this data by countries, this is something that you can see some differences. Hiring budgets and OH budgets, the cuts are relatively more in Singapore vis-a-vis other countries. But everybody is taking a cut, but in Singapore, we do see relatively bigger cuts being taken on hiring as well as on out-of-home activities. So this is the data from Indonesia. We were very curious to understand, is the TV spending going down? Because what we saw in Q1, we saw the TV gross spends were up 19%. But in April, the gross spend went down 60%. So overall, you see from Jan to April in Indonesia, you see the overall TV gross spending is going down 3%. So thanks to Groupon for sharing this data with us. So overall, because of April, there has been a huge budget cut, which has happened. The categories which have been impacted from TV budget cuts are not toiletries, they still have gone up. Food is relatively gone up. Beverages more or less stable vis-a-vis last year. So this is Jan to April data. Household products, their spends have gone up, but you can see a lot of other categories, especially property, education, April's, tobacco they have been impacted. So the TV budgets have gone down for other categories as well as automotives. And when we looked at this data of the sales promotion, this again comes from Indonesia. Thanks to AI Sensum, they have the Happy Fresh data. And from that data, they could understand whether the promotions are going down. So pre-COVID versus post-COVID, the number of SKUs which have been promoted have gone down 60%. But my particular belief is that this possibly will go up, because possibly FMCG as a sector has not been that impacted. But as consumers become more price conscious and with a drop in the GDP over time, quarter to quarter, companies might go back to more promotional cuts. That's something I think which possibly might happen. So when we look at this data by different sectors, I know it's a lot of data, so I'm just going to spend a bit of time on here. Hiring budgets have taken a bigger cut in financial, retail, travel, tourism, transportation. E-commerce as a sector, as you can see across different parameters, the cuts are relatively lower because that is a sector which is doing well with the entire COVID situation. But sectors like financials, retail, travel, transportation have been hugely impacted. And we asked the various organizations, we asked the question about how are they coping up with this entire COVID disruption which has come in. So many organizations are saying that they're going digital. They're increasing their digital spends, possibly as they plan to decrease their ATL overhead spends. They are trying to increase their digital spends, which is relatively far more affordable, I believe, as a media. And they're also focusing a lot on e-commerce selling. So companies are adopting more digital, as well as they're also looking at supply chain, how they can deliver to the consumer doorstep, innovative manner. That's something that companies are doing. So when we look at this data by countries, as you can see, Singapore as a country, or as the organizations in Singapore, they're looking at increasing their digital budget. So they're trying to go more online, followed by Indonesia. Everybody is doing that, but I think Singapore is the one which is ahead of the curve in terms of the digital adoption. Vietnam, in comparison to other countries, are still looking at increasing their sales promotion budget. Increasing TV ads are still 12%. I believe these are categories that we saw before, possibly might be food, household products, toiletries, and cosmetics. So time for the next poll, just to understand what the audiences feel. So the measure to cost control, which of the following measures you think that your organization has implemented or is planning to implement? So is the organization doing any cost control mechanism? If yes, what have they done or what are they planning to implement? And these are the options in front of your screen.
Yeah, thanks, Rajiv. Let's wait for the audience. But it's interesting that you said about how, since you've done this across different markets, it's surprising to see a decrease in ATL, especially in a country like Indonesia, where TV consumption is still very, very strong. I mean, at Singapore, it's understandable, but yes, I would agree that this entire digital shift, even companies that have been so used to a particular pattern all along their business their business and marketing strategies and campaigns, and now they're all looking into the digital space more seriously. But yes, this comparison with the above the line and digital space is quite interesting across markets. So thank you for sharing that with us. I will close the poll shortly and share the results. So yeah, so the highest that we have, 47%, Rajiv, is no layoffs and salary cuts, which is at 47. And then at 43%, not too far behind, is salary cuts but no layoffs. So very little on the first and the third option, but a good balance between the second and the fourth.
Yeah, thanks. I think I believe that that's really good from the organization perspective that a layoff is not happening as much, at least from the audience or the attendees that we have. Salary cut possibly might be, I think it's a matter of time, 3-4 months, which I think when the things become better, they become back to normal. I believe all of these things of the cost control measure will definitely go away.
Yeah.
Thanks. So let's move to the next section, which is that how. So we in the last webinar we understood what consumers they feel. Let's try to understand how businesses think what consumers are doing. So in this particular section, we will understand from business perspective that what they think consumers are doing and how are they behaving. So this was a very interesting question that we asked to the business houses or all the organizations. So how their employees or how consumers overall are doing, and what are the activities that they're doing more often nowadays. So 80% of the survey audience, which is mainly enterprises, they feel that a lot of employees or consumers, they are moving towards video meeting apps. Zoom definitely has benefited a lot from this. They believe e-learning will become almost like a new normal for education. That is very, very interesting. Grocery shopping, which hardly happened digitally. On the e-commerce, people never used to buy grocery before, or very few percentage of the people they used to buy. But now grocery shopping is happening online. Online consultation, online doctor consultation is increasing. So companies like HelloDoc, for example, I believe will benefit big time in Indonesia. So these are the big trends which are emerging, which is use of video apps, e-learning, online consultation, online grocery. So let's see whether these trends are different by countries. Again, what we saw before, where Singapore is a country which adapts to digital very, very fast. Again, the entire businesses, they feel that consumers in Singapore are adapting to these new methods of engagement, new way of purchase, much faster than others. Followed by in India, we are seeing a huge jump on the video meeting apps. Across countries, we are seeing a huge jump, but Singapore possibly leads the way from an organization perspective. Now, this is some of the consumer data that we are putting in. Possibly you would have seen this data in our previous surveys. There are activities that consumers are doing more because of COVID. This was the question that we asked to the consumers across these 3 different countries. And consumers, they say that they are watching TV more often. But still, we are seeing that the TV spends are going down across many categories, which have been impacted. We are seeing that YouTube is going up. Consumption of YouTube, consumption of social media, consumption of OTT, the entire Netflix, Amazon Prime is going up. So this is what consumers are claiming that they're doing. And it's very consistent across countries. And when we ask the business houses or the entire organizations and enterprises, when we ask them, are they going to use more of the web influencers? So they feel that web influencers, they play a very, very big role in consumer decision journey. And I think the entire usage of influencers or communities will increase with the time. And when we ask again the similar question to the business enterprises or the organizations, We asked them what they think best describes the change in the digital behavior of consumers. So the organizations are saying that consumers nowadays are consuming more news on TV or digital. They're playing more online games. Online blogging has gone up, which is interesting. And of course, the sales of entire PlayStation or digital PlayStation have gone up. And again, as you can see, all the countries are saying in a similar manner. Again, Singapore is relatively higher in terms of the entire digital consumption or online gaming in comparison to other countries. When it comes to online gaming, Singapore possibly leads, followed by India. This is what organizations they feel are what consumers are doing. And when we ask consumers what did they try and a new thing that they have tried in the past 1 month, and this is very, very interesting data where consumers are saying they've tried e-learning app, something like a Ruang Guru or Byju's in India, online cooking, work from home softwares, online groceries, OTT. This is similar to what we have discussed before. And these are new things, and it's very consistent between the countries that consumers are trying this new way of engaging or possibly the new way of entertaining themselves and new way of educating themselves. So time for a quick poll just to understand what the audiences they feel. So do you think that marketing spend will go up in near future in your organization? If yes, then how much will the percentage increase?
Yeah, Rajiv, can you hear me?
Yeah, Shanti, yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. I just interestingly, just out of curiosity, you mentioned something about, gaming becoming again a very, popular, area for which, people, the audiences are spending a lot of time. Um, well, as MMA, we have in the past spoken to a lot of marketers and brands who still were very skeptical before this COVID situation to put in advertising budgets into the gaming side of the industry. So how, I mean, I don't know if you have any survey results on this, but what do you personally think? I mean, is this the right time? Are marketers who are keen to be out there in the digital space, are they looking into gaming as one of the areas where they would want to push their ad spend?
I think so. I think, especially, I think again, it goes back to what kind of target audience that you want to engage. But if clients are trying to engage consumers between 15 to possibly 20, or might be a slightly younger age group, if that's their core target, I believe platforms like gaming are very, very impactful. I think be it gaming, be it even Snapchat, a lot of these other platforms which are really skewed towards a younger target audience are far more engaging. I know that majority of the people they go to Facebook or Google in terms of digital spends, but this is somewhere areas where they can differentiate themselves as well as get better engagement if they want to target the younger lot of the audiences.
Yeah, and I guess it's also the relevance of the brand, right? Like, what kind of product or service do they have that can engage with the audiences? So here's the poll results. So 50% of the audience feel that the increase of 21 to 40% is more likely. 21 to 40%. That's the most that we see. The 50% of the audience have voted for this.
Sure, thanks. So it seems I think on the average again I believe if you look at the averages of the poll, possibly the average increase might be around 30%. I think this is one of the media which is really going to benefit because of COVID. I think possibly all of us have learned how to engage or how to consume digital media in the last couple of months. So that's one particular media which is going to grow. So that's where our next section is, which is digital the new normal? So traditionally we have been relying a lot on TV, OOH as a media, but is digital the new normal? Then we ask a very interesting question to all the organizations, that what are the top 3 challenges that they consider for the marketing mix? And we gave them 3 choices: digital, TV, and OOH. And of course, we also give them choices of print and radio. And not surprisingly, digital comes at the top. So 95% of the audience, they feel that moving forward, digital marketing is going to be one of their top channels in terms of engagement. And this is very, very consistent. So is TV becoming the new radio? Possibly, yes. So is it that we are always on our phone, getting engaged with the content while the music is being played at the background until yeah, sorry.
One second. Sorry, Rajiv, we can't see your presentation. We're actually seeing the presenter screen, the slide. So if you could just check, we're not able to see your presentation. So just, can you check on what's flashing on your screen?
I can see my presentation on the screen. So might be Shanti, you have the presentation with you. So might be if you can just take a control.
Just 1 second.
So I'm on slide 38.
1 minute. Yeah. You're on slide 38, is it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, just give me a second. Apologies for the slide hitch. That's all right, perfect, almost there. Yeah, this is where you.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so I'll just add in. So if you go to the next slide, Shanti. Yeah, so we asked this very interesting questions to the audiences or to the organizations where they mentioned that digital is the top media that they want to consider moving forward, and possibly TV might become the new radio in a way. And when we look at the data across countries, when we ask consumers, when we ask the organizations, what role they think that digital play as a part of the marketing mix, 68% of the enterprises or organizations, they feel that it helps them to increase brand awareness. 1 in 2 feel that they can share knowledge to the consumers. The data is very consistent across countries in a way. But when we look at the data by sectors, some very, very good. If you go to the next slide, Shanti, 41. Yeah. So when we look at the data by sectors, financial industry feels digital is good media to induce trust in the brand. While FMCG and retail, they see digital as a media to help them to deliver to the doorstep. While financial sectors, they see it more as a trust builder in comparison to other sectors. If you can go to the next slide. So time for a very quick poll that we wanted to understand. As you know that everybody is moving towards e-commerce, digital, but possibly we don't know whether the organizations are ready or not ready. So my question to the attendees: do you think that your company has the necessary infrastructure and the technology for e-commerce in the current form? I know that a lot of companies are moving towards that, but in the current form, do you believe that you have the necessary infrastructure and technology to scale up the e-commerce business?
Rajiv?
Yeah, hi Shanti.
Hi, yes, as we are waiting for the poll results, I'm just passing over the control to you, as in the keyboard and the mouse control. If you got that notification, you'll be able to control the screen from your side.
Sure. Let's see if I get the notification.
Yeah, I've given you the access. All right, and closing the poll results now. and sharing them with the audience. So of course, 69% say yes and 31% say no.
Thanks. So very interesting. So at least 70% of you believe that your organization is ready for e-commerce scale up. And I think the remaining 30%, I believe, of course, I'm sure that your organization possibly might be working towards it as the category keeps on expanding and growing. So Shanti, I'm not able to see the message on my screen. So possibly I think you can control, that's fine. I can just take your help.
All right, all right.
So let's see how brands are responding. Yes, so I think, so if you look at the way consumers, they want the brand to respond, of course, and as I mentioned last time, a lot of product and services, consumers, they are looking at product and services which can help them to improve their health and well-being. So health and well-being has almost become like the new normal. It was always important, but I think with the time in the last couple of months, this has really taken possibly the biggest priority right now for the consumers. So they want the products to be safe. They want the brands to communicate to them that how their products are safe and how their product can be used safely. So we click Shanti, yeah, and the brands and the consumers, they want brands not only to sell, but they also want brands to help them with a lot of CSR activities possibly, and help them to educate, help them to help the consumers in terms of education as well as in terms of getting a positive perspective. So let's go through some of the examples that we could see what brands have done. So as I mentioned, that digital is a new channel, I think, and digital is here to stay for the long. And possibly this is a channel that we know that is going to grow in the future. As we know, in Singapore, people are not able to go to Sentosa Island, but now Sentosa they made a debut in Nintendo as a virtual Sentosa. So that's how they can give the consumers or the audiences or the kids the feeling of Sentosa without being in Sentosa. Cult has launched the entire app, which is a fitness app. So if you can, of course, go to the gyms, they have really had a big campaign on this, that you can do a workout for free using this particular app. So that's how they're trying to engage consumers who are there digitally connected. They all did a TikTok challenge, was massive hit, got more than 50 billion views. Got more than 50. I think there's some small correction there. So they got massive views in terms of the TikTok challenge that they did. So a lot of brands are trying to move digitally. They're trying to innovate a lot digitally. And I think that's one of the ways that we, all of us, can think how we can use the media more effectively. So go to the next slide, Shanti. So apart from that, as you mentioned, as you saw, what consumers also want, they don't want only you to communicate to them that you're trying to sell it to them, but what are you doing and how are you giving back to the society? I know that a lot of the organizations are doing CSR. I've just taken some example, and I think CSR is here to stay for a long. But how do we use this from a PR perspective without sounding opportunistic? I think that's the key. But I believe a lot of companies are trying to move towards CSR in terms of giving back to the society. If you can move to the next slide, Shanti.
Yeah.
And I think this is some of the innovation. I believe, given the adversities, many companies have become innovative. Domino's, which of course was doing some part of the delivery, but now they've become very aggressive delivering to the doorstep. And this entire contactless delivery that many e-commerce companies have adopted, Zomato has done the same thing. Well, I saw one more example of Zomato, which is contactless dining. That you don't need to pick up a menu. You go to a restaurant, you scan, you order. You don't even need to touch a menu. Of course, you have to go and sit in case you want to sit, or you can do a takeaway. But in case you want to sit there, you don't have to touch the menu at all. With a barcode, with the QR codes, you can scan, you can order. So some of the ways companies are trying to innovate themselves so that their entire concern about health can be taken care of. We go to the next slide, Shanti.
Yeah.
I think again, spreading positivity. I think it's very important that as organizations, even as employees, we tend to spread this positivity around. So Cadbury came up with this I'll say that they innovated with the packaging, where in India they came up with this concept of thank you. They changed the packs a lot in multiple languages in India, and they've replaced their logos just to salute or thank the warriors, which is the medical staff and so on and so forth. Just spreading the entire messages of positivity. Ford came up with this campaign that how they help nation every time there's a crisis. So I think, of course, apart from selling digitally, if we can think about these lines, how we can spread positivity, do a CSR, and how we can be more innovative, is possibly the way to go for the next 4 or 5 months, for sure. So some pointers from us. Yes, hi,
Yeah,
Shanti.
quick pointers because we are also running short of time. So just wanted to get you to quicken a bit.
Sure. So just a few last pointers, last couple of slides. I think this is what we want possible brands to look at: embrace digitally, look at future medias like social and conversational commerce. I think in this point, if you can't sell A, but can you innovate and sell B? I know that L'Oreal, for example, came up with hand sanitizer. I mean, L'Oreal launching hand sanitizer is something that you will not think of hear about. I know that Wipro in Indonesia again launched a sanitizer. So people are trying to see how they can do innovations at this point of time, so that if category A is not growing, can they grow category B? Can you go to the next slide, Shanti?
Yeah.
So that's my last slide, which is how we can possibly innovate our supply chain and how we can look at more responsive and responsible marketing. Not only sell the product, but also look at ways we can communicate what we are doing to our consumers. So that's all what we had in the presentation today.
Yeah, that's great. Any questions, please pour them into the column that's on your right-hand side of the screen. We don't have, we would like to actually, what else, Rajiv? You had mentioned before this presentation when we had a discussion, you mentioned that there was some survey results that you also wanted to include in your slide, that in your presentation, that we would share with the audience, and you didn't bring it up. Would you share a little bit about those survey results as well?
I think those survey results were more about how different categories are behaving. So I think it was just a bit more data cuts in a way, that how FMCG is behaving differently to travel and tourism. So that was more about the detailed data that I wanted to put in the document.
And we do have a question, as in, like, are there similar patterns in other countries as well, like, say, for example, Philippines and Malaysia? Anything on those other Asian countries?
We don't have the data per se for those countries, but when I had a chat with our own clients in different part of the world, I see the data pattern being very, very similar. A lot of clients are trying to move digital. Consumers are more digitally engaged. So the patterns are very, very similar. The percentages might be here and there, but it's a very, very similar concept that we are seeing in Asia.
Okay. All right. Do we have any more questions from, we do see, okay, so there's a question, just let me see. The question is, how would brands then, how much time would brands then take to somehow get back, let's say when this COVID situation is over, how long do you think the transition of getting back to the earlier time, how long would that transition last? After COVID, after everything settles down, do you think it will take time for brands to somehow again get back to how things were in the past?
I think so. I think again it depends on category to category. I think on the average it will take 6 to 8 months for things to become normal. But for some categories like airlines, if we have to go back to the pre-COVID condition, it might take more than 1.5 years, I assume. So some categories like recreational parks, tourism, hotels, hospitality, for them to go back to the same level of pre-COVID, it might take more than a year. That's what my belief is. But on the average, 6 to 8 months.
Okay, and there's also a question as in how many people took this survey in each market that you did this survey in these 4 markets. That's
yeah. So on the average, yeah. So in Indonesia, it was close to 120. India was around 150. I think Vietnam was close to 60, and I think Singapore was close to 70. So that was the kind of spread, which is 150, 120, 70, 50.
Okay. Okay. Um, so I'm just checking on the other questions. Most of them are keen to know if this presentation will be sent to your emails. Yes, this is to answer everybody who's asked this question. This presentation will be available on the MMA website, and it will also be sent to you because you're attendees. It will be sent to you on email as well, so don't worry. And Rajiv will also be including some of the slides that he had, not included in this presentation, but yes, that will also be included. So yeah, so far we're good to just let me check on other questions. Somebody has said it appears that you haven't taken into consideration the Q420. Sorry, yeah. Okay, this, I guess, the question is from Donald. I think, this is we're doing these surveys in phases, and I think when we get to the phase to see how things unfold, we will, probably get a better idea of how things are at that point of time. So with this, okay, someone's asking, do you have any prospect for the Bangladesh market?
No, not at all. I don't have much of the idea for Bangladesh market.
Okay, all right. All right, so if any one of you have any other questions, please do pour in. We do have some time left before we close this webinar for today. Any questions from any other? Can we have an answer on this, Arvind? Let's see what Arvind is asking. Arvind from Kraft Times Research Department. Arvind, I can't see your question. Can you retype the question, please? Meanwhile, I'm going to take on another question. How CX is impacting during this digital phase? Nand Kishore Tripathi.
So how customer experience is getting impacted? I think, I believe, again, I think it depends on categories to categories. I think if you look at what, I think the example that I gave, if you look at what Domino's have done, I think, or what Zomato has done, or Grab or Gojek to a large extent has done, this entire contactless delivery, in a way, is to improve the entire customer experience. So the concern that, how are you going to give me how are you going to give me the entire food item that I'm ordering, possibly the big concern in the delivery. So how are they able to manage this entire issues by getting into the entire contactless deliveries is a great example of how customer experience has been improvised or improved or changed. I think, again, in this entire world where I believe that banking, which was very much retail in many countries, consumers are trying to move into chatbot based discussions. So that has completely taken the customer experience to the next level. So these are the new challenges that possibly consumers are moving towards, and clients are moving very fast, so that if people can't go to retail, how their queries can be handled on a chatbot, how their queries can be handled on the call centers, is something a lot of banks have done beautifully in the last couple of months.
Yeah, Rajiv. Now, Arvind Kumar's question, it's just popped up now. Do you think there will be a V-shaped recovery after 6 months?
I think very interesting question. Will there be a V-shaped recovery after 6 months? I think if the COVID wave 2 doesn't start, then possibly there might be. I think after 6 months, I'll not call it as a V shape, right? After 6 months, it will be almost like a U shape. But I think if the wave 2 doesn't happen, then we possibly might see a U-shaped recovery. But if the entire wave 2 happens, I think I was reading about the news about South Korea, where almost like a wave 2 has started, where there were some 35 infections in the last day yesterday. So if that happens, then we possibly might see a W. We might not even see a U. So I think V-shape definitely is not going to happen. If it happens, it might be a U.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the audience? I think I've covered quite a few from what has popped up on the screen. Anyone else having a question that we can look into, please put it into this questions box on the right-hand side of your screen. Yes, again, we're getting to, yes, we will be sending the presentations to you. We're getting a lot of questions on that. Don't worry, it will be sent to you and will be available also on the MMA website. All right, so no more questions here. Rajiv, hold on, there's actually no more questions. Oh, there's one from Eva Kustiva. How do you collect all your data? Basically, what's the methodology behind this? I think Rajiv has touched upon that, but Rajiv, anything else you'd like to add to the collection of all this data? Anything that you want to share?
Sure. So this data was collected through MMA. So we partnered with MMA and we sent emails to all the enterprises. And of course, if they wanted to participate in the survey, they could fill the data. So it was almost like a consent which has been taken. But the entire methodology was online. It was not done over the phone. It was not done face to face. It was entirely online.
Okay. All right. There are a few more questions here. How do you think, so this is the Lebaran moment going on. Do you think these findings have any impact for Indonesia specifically, since of course, you know, Vietnam, Singapore and India aren't, you know, as at this point, you know, it may be Indonesia may be showing you different results. So did you take into consideration for this particular survey, did you take into consideration the Lebaran time that Indonesia specifically is going through? This is from Denta.
Right. So, in fact, you know, as Shanti mentioned that this survey was done in phases. Most of the Indonesia data was collected before Lebaran, before Ramadan started. There was some data which was also collected during Ramadan, but majority of the data reflected was before Ramadan month started.
Okay. Okay. We have another question from Nankishore Tripathi. His question is behavior of consumers during COVID-19 with regards to this. Will they stay with the new normal or would they prefer to go back to the way of purchase? This is on the consumer front, which Rajiv did a survey and shared his findings on his last session with MMA. But would you like to touch upon this very briefly, Rajiv?
Sure. So I think that the question here is that is this going to be the new normal, or people will go back to their old habits? I believe some of this will be the new normal. I think e-education, which I think a lot of categories which are trying to get into e-education, they will definitely benefit with this, and it will almost become like a new normal. Work from home can almost become like a new normal. Might not be 5 days a week, but possibly 2 or 3 days a week. So work from home will possibly increase. E-education will increase. E-consultation will increase. Grocery buying through digitally grocery buying will increase, which was not happening much before. So these things possibly will become the new normal. Online games have gone up. They will possibly might become the new normal in a way, right? So it will keep on going up. OTT usage will go up. It has almost become like a new normal. So these categories you will see definitely are not going to go back to pre-COVID levels. They will keep on rising and increasing.
Okay, there's one last question we'll take on for today. What's the uptake of resilience? The uptake of resilience from consumers lines up with business, or is it different?
Sorry, say it again, Shanti.
The uptake of resilience from consumers lines up. Are they with business, or is it different? Like, is it aligned with the business, or is it different?
So when we did this, when I shared the consumer survey result in the last webinar, consumers on the average are expecting things to become normal in 3 months, while businesses are expecting 6 months. So consumers are relatively more optimistic. while businesses are more pragmatic and practical. That's what my point of view will be.
Okay, we do have 4 or 5 more questions, but we're now, of course, we've crossed the time limit. But don't worry, we have 4 or 5 more questions. We will, you can reach out to Rajiv, reach out to MMA, and we'll get them answered. And you know, hopefully, with the presentation being shared as well, you'll get you get more details as well. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. And yeah. Have a safe and productive week ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Shanti. Thanks, everybody.